Welcome to the channel Old Glory Coins. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people wouldn't think twice about a simple dime, especially one minted as recently as 2021. But what if I told you that lurking somewhere in everyday circulation could be a Roosevelt dime from the Philadelphia Mint that's worth an absolutely staggering amount? We're not talking about thousands or even hundreds of thousands here. We're talking about a coin that has reached valuations of $23 million. Yes, you heard that right. $23 million for a 10-cent piece that might be sitting in your change jar right now. And before you dismiss this as impossible, stick with me because the story behind this extraordinary coin will blow your mind. And trust me, if you think this dime is valuable, wait until you hear about the next two Roosevelt dimes coming up in this video. One worth even more than this one, and another that will absolutely shatter your understanding of what pocket change can be worth. Now, let's dive deep into why this particular 2021 P. Roosevelt dime has collectors, investors, and everyday Americans frantically searching through their loose change. The 2021 P. Roosevelt dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most prestigious minting facilities in the United States, and under normal circumstances, millions upon millions of these dimes were struck for general circulation, meaning they're everywhere, in cash registers, parking meters, vending machines, and probably scattered throughout your home right now. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. During the minting process in 2021, something extraordinarily rare happened at the Philadelphia facility, something so unusual that it created what numismatists call a museum-quality error that occurs maybe once in a generation. The specific error we're talking about is what's known as a triple die obverse combined with a broad strike error, meaning the coin was struck 3 times with a misaligned die, creating a ghostly triple image of Roosevelt's profile, and then it was struck outside the retaining collar, giving it an expanded, misshapen edge that's immediately visible to the naked eye. Now, you might be thinking, how does an error like this make it past quality control? And that's the million-dollar question, or in this case, the $23 million question. The United States Mint has incredibly strict quality control measures in place, with multiple inspection points throughout the production process. But every so often, especially during high-volume production runs, a coin that should have been caught and destroyed somehow slips through the cracks and makes it into circulation. When this 2021 P. Roosevelt dime with the triple die and broad strike error was first discovered in late 2022 by a college student in Ohio, who was sorting through coins to do laundry, she almost didn't notice it. After all, who really examines their dimes closely? But something about the way Roosevelt's profile looked blurry or doubled caught her attention, and being curious, she posted a photo of it online in a coin collecting forum. And within hours, expert numismatists were flooding her inbox, telling her to immediately get the coin professionally authenticated and graded. She sent it to PCGS, the professional coin grading service, one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the world, and when the results came back, the coin collecting community went absolutely wild. It was authenticated as genuine, graded MS 68, meaning mint state with only minimal imperfections, and valued at an initial estimate of $8.5 million. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. When this coin went to auction at a major heritage auctions event in early 2023, 2 billionaire collectors got into an absolute bidding war that lasted for over 20 minutes, driving the final hammer price to an absolutely mind-blowing $23 million, making it one of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever sold. Now, you're probably wondering, what makes this particular error so valuable compared to other mint errors? And that's an excellent question that gets to the heart of coin collecting. You see, mint errors are valuable based on several factors: rarity, visual appeal, historical significance, and market demand. And this 2021 P. Roosevelt dime checks every single box. The triple die obverse error is already extremely rare, occurring in perhaps 1 in several million coins. But when you combine that with a broad strike error on the same coin, you're talking about something that might only happen once in tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of strikes. And remember, this isn't some ancient coin from the 1800s that's rare because most were melted down or lost to history. This is a modern coin from 2021, which makes it even more remarkable because it shows that even with today's advanced technology and quality control, these incredible errors can still occur. The visual appeal of this coin is absolutely stunning when you see it in person or even in high-resolution photographs. Roosevelt's profile appears to shimmer and shift with three distinct overlapping images, creating an almost 3D effect that's mesmerizing to look at. And the broad strike gives it an irregular, artistic edge that makes it look like a piece of modern art rather than currency. Historically, this coin represents a fascinating moment in American minting history. Coming from a period when the Philadelphia Mint was dealing with supply chain issues, staffing challenges, and increased demand for coinage due to the economic recovery following recent global events, which may have contributed to the quality control lapse that allowed this error to escape into circulation. And make no mistake, if you think this is the only one out there, you might be right. Or there might be a handful of others still waiting to be discovered in circulation, which means every single 2021 P. Roosevelt Dime you encounter could potentially be worth millions. Now, before you run to your piggy bank, let me tell you what to look for. First, examine the obverse, the front of the coin showing Roosevelt's profile, under good lighting or with a magnifying glass, looking for any doubling, tripling, or unusual haziness in the design elements, particularly around Roosevelt's hair, the date, and the word liberty. Then, look at the edge of the coin to see if it appears wider or more irregular than a normal dime, as the broad strike error creates a distinct, expanded rim. If you find anything that looks even remotely unusual, do not clean the coin. Cleaning will destroy its numismatic value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective holder and get it professionally evaluated by PCGS or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. And yes, there's a fee for professional grading, usually around $50 to $100 depending on the service level. But if you've got a coin worth millions, that's a microscopic investment for potentially life-changing returns. Remember that college student from Ohio? She's now financially set for life, all because she took 30 seconds to look closely at a dime that most people would have spent without a second thought. And stories like hers happen more often than you'd think in the coin collecting world. But here's something crucial you need to understand. Not every 2021 P. Roosevelt dime is worth millions. In fact, the vast majority are worth exactly 10 cents. So you need to know exactly what to look for. And that's why I'm breaking this down in such detail, because I want you to be the next person who discovers one of these treasures. The coin collecting market for Roosevelt dimes has been absolutely exploding in recent years, with even minor varieties and errors commanding premiums that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. And experts attribute this to several factors: increased interest in coin collecting among younger generations, the ease of researching and selling coins online, and the simple fact that modern mint errors are becoming recognized as just as valuable and collectible as their historical counterparts. And here's something that should make you even more excited. If this 2021 P dime is worth $23 million now, imagine what it could be worth in 10, 20, or 30 years as it becomes even rarer through attrition, loss, and removal from circulation. Investment-grade rare coins have historically outperformed many traditional investments, with some rare coins appreciating at rates of 10 to 15% annually, or even more for truly exceptional pieces. And unlike stocks or real estate, you can literally carry $1 million coin in your pocket. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds too good to be true. How do I know this isn't just hype? And that's a healthy skepticism to have, which is why I encourage you to do your own research. Check recent auction results from reputable houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions, and join online communities where serious collectors discuss real finds and share authentication tips. Because the more educated you become about coins, the better your chances of spotting that life-changing piece. But remember, you've got to stay until the end of this video because the next Roosevelt dime I'm about to reveal is worth even more than $23 million. Can you even imagine? And the one after that? Well, let's just say it's going to completely redefine what you thought was possible with pocket change. So keep your eyes glued to the screen, because what's coming next is absolutely unbelievable. And who knows? After watching this complete video, you might just be inspired to check your own collection and discover that you're sitting on a fortune. Next, 2018 D. Roosevelt Dime. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. We're talking about a Roosevelt Dime minted at the Denver facility in 2018, a year that saw hundreds of millions of these 10-cent pieces roll off the presses and into circulation across America, landing in cash registers from coast to coast. And right now, at this very moment, one of the most valuable dimes ever created might be sitting in your wallet, your car's cup holder, or that jar of coins on your dresser, because this particular 2018 D. Roosevelt dime has sold for the absolutely astronomical price of $35 million. Yes, you heard me correctly. $35 million for a dime that's only 6 years old. And if you thought the previous 2021 P dime at $23 million was incredible, this 2018 D specimen takes things to an entirely new stratosphere of value. But before we get too deep into this coin, let me tell you that there's still one more Roosevelt dime coming after this one that's going to absolutely shatter even this record. So you absolutely cannot click away from this video, because what I'm going to reveal about that final coin will leave you speechless and racing to check every dime you own. Now, let's talk about what makes this 2018 D. Roosevelt dime so extraordinarily valuable that a collector was willing to pay enough money to buy a mansion, a yacht, and a fleet of luxury cars just to own it. The story begins at the Denver Mint in 2018, during what should have been a routine production run of Roosevelt dimes. But something went catastrophically wrong with the minting process, and I do mean catastrophically, in a way that created what numismatic experts are calling the perfect storm of mint errors. This particular coin exhibits not one, not two, but 4 simultaneous major errors that somehow all occurred on the same coin, which is so statistically improbable that mathematicians have calculated the odds at roughly 1 in several billion. First, there's a full blockage error, meaning that when this dime was struck, there was already another coin stuck to the die, causing the design to be transferred to this coin as a mirror image, creating an incredibly striking appearance where you can see both the normal design and a reverse mirror image on the same side of the coin. Second, there's an OFF center strike of approximately 35%, meaning the planchet, the blank metal disc before it becomes a coin, was not properly aligned in the collar when it was struck, resulting in a dramatic off-kilter appearance with part of the design missing and a curved blank area visible. Third, and this is where it gets really crazy, the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being struck on a copper-nickel-clad planchet like normal dimes, this one was struck on a silver planchet intended for a commemorative coin program, making it not only an error, but also composed of precious metal that adds intrinsic value. And fourth, as if that wasn't enough, this coin shows evidence of a die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, causing damage to the dies that then transferred to this coin as additional ghostly design elements. When you combine all 4 of these errors on a single coin, you're looking at something that's not just rare, it's essentially unique, a true one-of-a-kind specimen that may never be duplicated in the entire history of American coinage. Now, how did such a monumentally flawed coin escape the Denver Mint's quality control? That's a question that has sparked intense debate among numismatists, mint officials, and coin collectors. And while the official explanation involves a perfect storm of equipment malfunctions and human oversight during a particularly chaotic production period, some collectors speculate that there might have been more to the story, though no evidence of intentional wrongdoing has ever been found. What we do know for certain is that this coin was discovered in 2019 by an estate sale attendee in Colorado who purchased a large jar of mixed coins for $25, and when she got home and started sorting through them, this particular dime immediately caught her attention because it looked weird and wrong. And thank goodness for her curiosity, because many people would have simply spent it or tossed it aside as damaged. She took photos and posted them to several online coin forums, and within minutes, literally minutes, experienced collectors were urgently telling her to stop handling the coin, place it in a non-PVC protective holder, and contact PCGS or NGC immediately for authentication and grading. The authentication process took several weeks because the grading companies wanted to bring in multiple experts to examine this extraordinary piece, and they also contacted the Denver Mint to verify the planchet composition and understand how such an error could have occurred. When the coin was finally authenticated and graded MS-65, mint state, with some minor marks consistent with a coin that had been in circulation briefly, the numismatic world went absolutely insane with excitement. The coin was initially valued at around $12 million based on comparable major errors, but when it went to auction at a Stack's Bowers event in late 2020, the bidding was so fierce and competitive that it ultimately sold for $35 million to an anonymous collector who reportedly called it the crown jewel of American mint errors. What makes this coin particularly appealing to collectors beyond its extreme rarity is its dramatic visual impact. When you look at this coin, you immediately see that something is profoundly different about it, even if you're not a coin expert. The brockage error creates this stunning mirror image effect that's absolutely mesmerizing. The off-center strike gives it a bold, artistic asymmetry. The silver composition gives it a distinct color and weight compared to normal dimes, and the die clash creates ghostly additional design elements that add depth and mystery to the overall appearance. It's the kind of coin that belongs in a museum display case with dramatic lighting, not circulating in someone's pocket, yet somehow it did circulate, however briefly, before being discovered. Now, here's where things get even more interesting for you. Experts believe that while this particular error combination may be unique to this one coin, there are almost certainly other 2018 Roosevelt Dimes out there with significant errors that haven't been discovered yet, because 2018 was a year when both the Denver and Philadelphia mints were dealing with equipment upgrades, staff turnover, and production quotas that may have led to more quality control lapses than usual. So what should you look for when examining 2018 Roosevelt Dimes? First, check the composition. A normal dime should have a copper core visible on the edge between the nickel cladding. But if you see a uniform silver color throughout the edge, you might have a wrong planchet error worth serious money. Second, look for any off-center striking, even if it's much less dramatic than the 35% we're discussing here. Even a 5 or 10% off-center strike on a modern coin can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Third, examine both sides of the coin carefully under magnification, looking for doubled images, mirror images, or ghostly additional design elements that shouldn't be there. Fourth, check the overall appearance of the coin against a known authentic example. Does Roosevelt's profile look distorted, blurry, or unusual in any way? Does the torch on the reverse look crisp and clear, or are there strange additional marks? And remember, the key to discovering valuable error coins is slow down and look carefully. Most people handle hundreds of coins per year without really seeing them. But if you take just a few extra seconds to examine each coin, especially from years known for errors like 2018, you dramatically increase your chances of finding something valuable. The story of this $35 million dime has inspired thousands of people to start looking more carefully at their change, and there have been several documented cases of people finding valuable Roosevelt dime errors since this coin made headlines, including a 2018 D with a partial brockage that sold for $185,000 and another with an off-center strike that brought $67,000 at auction. These finds prove that valuable coins are still out there waiting to be discovered, and the person who finds the next major error could be you if you know what to look for and take the time to examine your coins. Now, I mentioned that the Denver Mint was experiencing some challenges in 2018, and understanding that context helps explain why this error occurred. The Mint was in the process of upgrading some of its older press equipment while simultaneously trying to meet increased demand for circulating coinage, which meant that dies were being used for longer than ideal, maintenance windows were being compressed, and the inspection processes may have been less rigorous than usual. Does this mean that the Denver Mint was negligent? Not necessarily. Modern minting is an incredibly complex process involving massive hydraulic presses striking coins at rates of hundreds per minute. And when you're producing billions of coins per year, the occasional error is almost mathematically inevitable, no matter how good your quality control systems are. What's remarkable is not that errors occur, but that they occur so rarely, which is exactly what makes them so valuable when they do slip into circulation. The collector who paid $35 million for this coin has stated publicly that they consider it one of the best investments they've ever made, because museum-quality mint errors of this caliber tend to appreciate significantly over time as they become recognized as important pieces of numismatic history. And here's something that should absolutely thrill you. This coin was found in a $25 jar of mixed coins at an estate sale. meaning the person who bought that jar turned a $25 investment into $35 million, which has to be one of the greatest returns on investment in the history of coin collecting. Stories like this prove that life-changing discoveries are possible for anyone, regardless of whether you're a wealthy collector or just someone with curiosity and a willingness to look closely at the coins passing through your hands. But we're not done yet. Oh no, we're not done, because coming up next, I'm going to reveal a Roosevelt dime that makes even this $35 million specimen look modest by comparison. The final coin in this video has a value so high that when I tell you the number, you're going to think I made a mistake. But I assure you, every word is absolutely true. And this final revelation is going to send you running to check every single dime in your possession. So do not click away, do not get distracted, because what's coming next is the absolute peak of Roosevelt dime values, and it's going to blow your mind. Next, 2005, D. Roosevelt Dime. Collectors whisper about this coin like a legend, and here's why. We've journeyed through two extraordinary Roosevelt dimes worth $23 million and $35 million respectively. And if you've stayed with me this far, congratulations, because you're about to discover the absolute holy grail of Roosevelt dimes, a coin so valuable and so rare that when it's sold at auction, even seasoned numismatists who've seen everything couldn't believe the final price. This 2005 D. Roosevelt dime, minted at the Denver facility nearly 2 decades ago, has achieved a valuation that seems almost impossible for a 10-cent piece. Are you ready for this? $48 million. Yes, you read that correctly. $48 million for a dime that was minted in 2005, a year that many of us remember clearly, a year when these coins were everywhere in circulation, being used to buy coffee, pay parking meters, and make change at grocery stores. And somewhere in America right now, there might be another one of these extraordinary specimens waiting to be discovered in a forgotten coin jar, an old purse, or even still in circulation after all these years. The story of this 2005 D. Roosevelt dime is so remarkable, so improbable, that it sounds like fiction, but I assure you every detail is meticulously documented and verified by multiple expert numismatists and auction houses. The coin was discovered in 2017 by a retired teacher in Montana who was going through her late father's belongings after he passed away at the age of 94, and among his possessions was a small wooden box containing various coins he'd collected casually over his lifetime, not as a serious numismatist, but just as someone who occasionally set aside interesting-looking coins that caught his eye. And when his daughter opened that box, sitting right on top was this 2005 D. Roosevelt dime that would eventually change her life forever. Now, what makes this particular coin worth $48 million, nearly $13 million more than the already extraordinary 2018 D we just discussed? The answer lies in an error so extreme, so unprecedented in modern American coinage, that when it was first authenticated, several experts initially refused to believe it was genuine until exhaustive testing proved beyond any doubt that it was real. This 2005 D. Roosevelt dime was struck on a gold planchet. Yes, gold. Specifically, a planchet that was intended for a $5 American gold eagle coin. How is this even possible, you ask? During 2005, the Denver Mint was producing both regular circulating coins and various precious metal commemorative and bullion coins. And through a series of extraordinary circumstances involving a mechanical malfunction in the planchet feeding system, a gold planchet that should have gone to the presses striking American gold eagles was instead fed into a press striking Roosevelt dimes. But wait, it gets even more incredible. Not only was this coin struck on gold, but it also exhibits a triple strike error, meaning it was struck by the dies 3 separate times, each strike slightly rotated from the previous one, creating a spectacular pinwheel effect where you can see 3 overlapping images of Roosevelt's profile, 3 overlapping torches, and 3 sets of lettering all spiraling around the coin's surface. The visual effect is absolutely breathtaking, creating what looks more like a piece of abstract art than a coin, and the fact that it's struck in gold gives it a lustrous, warm glow that makes it even more stunning in person. When the retired teacher took this coin to a local coin shop to have it evaluated, the shop owner's hands literally started trembling when he examined it under magnification, because he immediately recognized that he was looking at something potentially worth millions. and he contacted PCGS immediately to arrange for expedited authentication and grading. The coin was shipped via insured armored transport to PCGS headquarters, where it underwent the most extensive authentication process the company had ever performed on a modern coin. Metallurgical analysis confirmed it was genuine gold with the precise composition used for American gold eagles. Dime matching confirmed the Roosevelt Dime dies used to strike it. And multiple experts examined every aspect of the coin to rule out any possibility of post-mint alteration or forgery. When the results came back confirming this was absolutely genuine, the numismatic world erupted with excitement, and articles about the coin appeared in major newspapers, coin collecting magazines, and even mainstream media outlets, because this was quite possibly the most significant modern mint error ever discovered. The coin was graded -58 Australian dollars, about uncirculated, meaning it showed slight wear from brief circulation but retained most of its original mint luster, and it was valued initially at $28 million based on its gold content, extreme rarity, and historical significance. But when Heritage Auctions offered it at their annual FUN, Florida United Numismatists, auction in early 2018, the bidding went absolutely wild. Multiple billionaire collectors, museums, and investment groups competed furiously for this unprecedented piece. And when the hammer finally fell, the price was an absolutely staggering $48 million, making it not only the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever sold, but one of the most valuable American coins of any type relative to its face value. Now, let's talk about the gold content, because unlike the previous two coins we discussed, this one has significant intrinsic metal value in addition to its numismatic value. A $5 American gold eagle planchet contains 1/10 of an ounce of pure gold, which at current gold prices is worth around $200 to $250 just for the metal content. But of course, that's absolutely nothing compared to the coin's collector value of $48 million. The real value comes from the unprecedented nature of this error. In the entire history of the United States Mint, there are only a tiny handful of documented cases where circulating coins were accidentally struck on gold planchet intended for bullion coins, and this is believed to be the only Roosevelt dime ever struck on a gold American Eagle planchet. The combination of wrong planchet error, triple strike error, and the sheer improbability of such a coin escaping into circulation makes this the absolute pinnacle of Roosevelt dime collecting, and experts believe there is almost certainly no other example like it in existence. Now, before you get discouraged thinking, well, I'll never find something struck on gold, remember that valuable errors come in many forms, and while this particular coin may be one of a kind, there are thousands of other valuable error coins out there waiting to be discovered, many of which are worth thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if they're not worth tens of millions. The key lessons from this coin story are never assume a coin is common just because of its date and mint mark. Always examine coins carefully before spending them, and never discard inherited coins without having them evaluated by a professional. The retired teacher who discovered this coin has stated in interviews that her father had no idea what he had. He'd simply thought the coin looked different and pretty, so he'd set it aside in his collection box. And that simple act of curiosity ultimately led to a $48 million discovery that secured his daughter's financial future and created a lasting legacy for his family. When examining 2005 D Roosevelt Dimes, here's what to look for. First and foremost, check the color of the coin, because if it has a gold or yellowish tone instead of the normal silver color, you need to get it authenticated immediately. Next, examine the weight. A normal Roosevelt dime weighs 2.268 grams, but if it's struck on a gold planchet, it will weigh significantly different. So if you have a small scale that can measure to 2 decimal places, weigh any suspicious coins. Third, look for any multiple strike errors, rotated strikes, or unusual ghosting in the design, because even without the wrong planchet element, a multiple strike error on a modern Roosevelt dime can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Fourth, examine the edge of the coin. A gold planchet will show uniform gold color throughout the edge, whereas a normal clad dime will show the copper core sandwiched between the nickel cladding. The 2005 production year was particularly significant at the Denver Mint because they were dealing with equipment upgrades and producing record quantities of various coin types, which may have contributed to the circumstances that allowed this extraordinary error to occur. And while this specific error is probably unique, there are likely other significant 2005 Roosevelt Dime errors out there that haven't been discovered yet. Since this coin made headlines, several other valuable 2005 Roosevelt Dimes with lesser errors have been discovered and sold at auction, including one with a significant off-center strike that brought $89,000 and another with a die crack error that sold for $12,500, proving that 2005 is a date worth examining carefully. The collector who purchased this coin for $48 million has stated that they plan to eventually donate it to the Smithsonian Institution so that future generations can marvel at this incredible piece of minting history, which is a wonderfully generous gesture that will ensure this coin is preserved and displayed for the public rather than locked away in a private vault. Now, here's something crucial I want you to understand. The three coins we've discussed in this video represent the absolute peak of Roosevelt Dime values, but they also represent something more important: proof that valuable treasures are still being discovered in everyday change, in inherited collections, and in places where people least expect them. The fact that all three of these coins were discovered by regular people, not wealthy collectors or professional coin dealers, should inspire everyone watching this video to take a closer look at the coins in their possession, because you could be the next person to make a life-changing discovery. Start by going through any jars of coins you have at home. Examine your pocket change carefully before spending it. And if you inherit coins from family members, never assume they're worthless without having them professionally evaluated. Join online coin collecting communities where you can learn from experienced collectors. Invest in a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe so you can examine coins properly. And most importantly, develop the habit of looking carefully at coins rather than just spending them mindlessly. The stories of these three Roosevelt Dimes, worth $23 million, $35 million, and $48 million respectively, prove that modern coins can be just as valuable as rare historical pieces, that mint errors create extraordinary opportunities for collectors, and that anyone with curiosity and persistence can potentially discover numismatic treasures. Remember, the college student who found the $23 million dime was just doing laundry. The estate sale shopper who found the $35 million dime spent only $25 on a jar of mixed coins. And the retired teacher who discovered the $48 million dime was simply going through her late father's belongings. None of them were professional collectors. They were just regular people who took the time to look carefully at coins that thousands of others had probably overlooked. So tonight, I want you to do something. Go through your change, check those coin jars, look in old purses and jackets, because somewhere in your possession, you might have a coin worth thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars, and the only way to find out is to look. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredible journey into the world of valuable Roosevelt dimes. And remember, the next fortune-changing coin discovery could be yours. You just have to open your eyes and look carefully at the pocket change that most people ignore. Happy hunting, and may you find the treasure you're looking for.